What are you doing?
I have some 6-ounce chicken breasts that I have filled with a mixture of goat cheese and artichoke hearts. And you know, honestly, any creamy kind of dip that you make or purchase, like a sun-dried tomato, or I know some people like to, there's a popular jalapeno artichoke dip. Anything that you purchase works perfectly fine too. But this is a recipe that we'll put on our website. It's lovely. It's got, I think I said, goat cheese. Now a lot of people turn their nose up to goat cheese, and honestly, it is an acquired flavor for a lot of people, and they hear goat and immediately go, oh no, no, no. But my trick is, number one, don't tell people it's goat cheese until after they've had the first bite and they go, oh my gosh, this is so good, what is it? The second trick is, it's 1 to 1. So if you use half a cup of goat cheese, use a half a cup of cream cheese. It makes the flavor a little bit more mild, but still it gets that tang from the goat cheese. And it's just amazing. And I know goat cheese is becoming much more popular. So what I've done is I've just made a little horizontal split, excuse me, with a very, very sharp knife that has a sharp tip. And so I've made a horizontal slit about halfway into the chicken breast. And then I take my filling and I put it into a Ziploc bag. And then I cut off the tip, the corner of it, and I just squeeze some of that filling into it. And then this is super, super important. Fill that, put them on your baking sheet or whatever kind of tray that you have that will fit into your refrigerator, and at least give it 30 minutes to set up, because we want to put these into a super hot skillet and get them browned on one side, and then we're going to finish them in the oven. But if I haven't given it that time to set up in the oven, what's going to happen is my creamy filling is just going to ooze all over inside of my pan and I won't have anything left.
That's what happens.
That's super, super, super important.
So what you're saying is you take the chicken out and you put the creamy stuff inside and then
put it back in the fridge.
Oh, so that it gets kind of, okay.
You could do this a day or two in advance. Like if you wanted to do this for a dinner party, you could have these all ready to go. You could even pre-sear them if you wanted to. But the key to this is, because we're going to make a really nice pan sauce, is if you pre-sear them, listen to this. Do not wash this pan. So you take the whole pan, and after it cools, put it in the fridge with the chicken, even if you need to. Because what's going to happen is you've got all these lovely things that kind of stick to the pan, and that's what we're going to make our sauce out of. So I can't tell you how many times in the restaurant or at home somebody thinks they're helping me out, and they already washed my pan, and there I am. Now, if that happens, there's things that you can do to resurrect it so that you have enough flavor to make a sauce, but it's really super important. So see, I've got really nice sear on those. They're not even close to being done. And if I was going to have a dinner party, I would make sure that I had these all done. And then they're going to finish in the oven for 15-20 minutes. So when my guests arrive, we have appetizers, whatever, and then I know 15-20 minutes before we're going to sit down to dinner, I'm going to throw these in the oven, 400 degrees, and they're going to finish off. And then I'm going to take them out of the oven, have all of my sides ready, and voila, dinner's ready. And while those are baking, probably 10 minutes or so into their baking time, I'm going to make my pan sauce. And that's just going to take a couple minutes. So, my guests have arrived. We've all enjoyed some light appetizers, so I've snuck back into the kitchen because I don't want anybody to think that I'm working hard. And I'm going to throw these in the oven. My oven has preheated to 400 degrees, and I'm just going to let them bake. I'm going to check them at about 15 minutes. And of course, it really depends on the size of your chicken breast. These are a 6-ounce breast, so they're probably going to take 12 to 15 minutes. So I'm going to check them at 12 minutes and see what's going on. In the meantime, I also have prepared my asparagus, which I am going to throw a little bit of olive oil and salt and pepper and garlic onto. But that is only going to take me minutes. So in the meantime, I'm going to get my pan reheated from when I sauteed them. Now the other option that you have is, rather than putting the chicken onto another baking sheet, you could actually put your pan directly into the oven. However, since I have guests, I want to get my sauce going, so there's no issues about, you know, having it ready, hot, and that the chicken is still hot too. So what I've got, you can kind of see the little tidbits of things that stuck to the pan. So, and I've got some really nice butter and olive oil in there. I'm going to turn this up pretty high and let that stuff start to brown. And as soon as I see that I've got some really good stuff in there, I am going to add some white wine. Casey, would you do me a favor? I forgot to, I need a little bit of water and cornstarch, which I think Stephanie's got down there in that cupboard right there. So, at this point, you need to be really careful because I do have this pan scorching hot. So I'm just going to tilt it away from myself. And Steph actually had a holiday party this weekend, and she had some white wine left over. And she was just asking me about how long she can keep white wine in the refrigerator for stuff like this. And quite frankly, I know the theory is you never want to make a sauce out of anything that you wouldn't drink. And this is actually a really nice Chardonnay. And that's true. However, I wouldn't take something like a $50 bottle of white wine and make a sauce out of it. I'd make sure that somebody drank the last glass before it went bad. And quite frankly, oxidation stops pretty well when you refrigerate a wine. So there's lots of funky tools to try to take out all of the air and replace it with CO2. They work, they're great. But in the case of just having a little bit of wine and you know you're going to prepare something from that wine, it's not that big of a deal. And you can smell it. It smells fabulous. It's only a couple days old.
It really does.
So what I'm going to do, we've got a nice, you can see it just bubbling away. What we're going to do is let that boil for a couple of minutes and allow the alcohol to burn off. So even your kids, they'll recognize the flavor possibly, but it's a really yummy, rich flavor without being too alcohol. And as soon as this reduces a little bit, I've got some nice chicken base that I am going to add to this pan.
Where'd you get that?
You know, you can buy it if you're a warehouse shopper. Big box. They have a nice one. You can buy it at grocery stores. You know, the ones that you buy that are in the paper containers at most nicer grocery stores. Buy, you know, if you're into organic, there's lots of brands that do organic. They do low salt. I like the low salt because you can then control how salty you want it. I prefer the paste because I think they're a little bit richer. I'm going to add all of that, and I didn't have quite enough water, so I'm going to add a little bit more water because, like you'll hear me say over and over and over, I am a sauce girl, and if there's not enough sauce, I'm so disappointed. Kind of like at Thanksgiving. If you've ever not made enough gravy, people are always looking for more gravy.
It's devastating.
And so, we're going to let that come to a boil. And then I'm going to take about a tablespoon of cornstarch and put in that same glass that I was thinning down my chicken base with. And it's really important when you're working with cornstarch that you need to thin this out with cold water. And if you use hot water, it's going to instantly seize up on you and you're going to have to start all over. So cold water's key. And what this is gonna do for me is just thicken it up just enough so that rather than just being, you know, a soupy sauce, it's gonna have a little bit of body. But I'm gonna wait until this comes to a boil and all my flavors meld. I'm gonna taste it and see how thick it is. Give that a quick stir while it's coming together. Something else that I like to do with this too, if you like capers, capers are nice. You could add a little dash of lemon juice. Matter of fact, Steph, do you have any lemon juice?
I do.
Or a lemon?
Yes. Just out of capers.
Out of capers. I love capers. I can't keep them around.
Would you wait for me to make real lemon?
Yeah, no, I'm just going to squeeze like part of one of those. Yeah.
Okay.
These are
Kind of been in there.
not so new that it's going to be easy for me. Yes, I've got all
Okay,
seated.
ready?
So my guests are all seated in the dining room, and I've taken a nice mound of garlic mashed potatoes, and it's just, you know, we eat with our eyes before we eat with our mouths and our tummies and our taste buds. So I've taken our chicken and just kind of laid it across the potatoes, and then I've taken that delicious asparagus that I've tried to leave a little bit of crunch on, and then the sauce I've just left simmering on the stove, and I'm just going to take a nice little spoonful and finish each one of those. And I keep telling you, I'm a sauce girl, so I never want to over sauce because it doesn't make the presentation look fabulous. But you always just let your guests know that there's more sauce in the kitchen if they want more. So there we go. Nice simple dinner that you really did everything ahead while your guests hardly knew that you were in the kitchen. Bon appetit.